Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 25 through 27 of YanXi Palace. Hongzhou has been locked up pending punishment. It's anybody's guess whether the emperor will cave into public pressure and order his death. In the meantime, Yingluo goes to see Dr. Ye and walks right into yet another assassination attempt. Yingluo's survival instincts kick in and she runs for her life, but there are even more eunuchs waiting outside. Lucky for her, she runs right into Fu Heng. You know, I kind of forgot that Fu Heng actually has a job around here. He says he told her this is what would happen if she continued to investigate, but this is so not the time. Let's get out of here. Hongzhou has been unconscious for days and couldn't have ordered this hit. Yingluo suspects the emperor at first, but he has no need to sneak around when he orders a killing. And that leaves only one person with the authority and motivation. As much as Dowager Consort Yu pretended a gracious resignation, the truth is she has no intention of watching her son die, which is why she sends the emperor some lotus cakes that he liked when he was young. To anyone else, it looks like her simply trying to get on his good side by reminding him of the past, but there's a deeper story here. When this generation of brothers were only young princes, the third prince gave his little brother, the fourth prince, our emperor, some pastries that he said were from his mom. Fifth prince, Hongzhou, snatched one from the plate and ate it, and it almost killed him, affecting his health badly for years. It turned out that third prince had been trying to hurt his standout little brother and ended up getting the wrong one. Yu is still on her son's side, and both the emperor and Yingluo got the message loud and clear. Yingluo decides to send her own message back. You don't know who you're messing with. Or maybe Yingluo is the one who underestimated her. Yu calls her into the palace under the guise of wanting help with her icebox, and then she isn't allowed to leave. It turns out Yu has been living that Xian double life. Her whole life she's been a devout Buddhist and she has a reputation for being too gentle to even kill an ant. But it turns out that was all a lie. She was the one who had Aman killed. Now that the mask is off, she tells Yingluo in no uncertain terms that if she bothers her or her son again, she'll have her father killed. And I mean, no. But I mean, anyway. The Empress has an idea of what Yingluo is going through, and in one of my favorite scenes reminds her that everyone goes through difficult times. She knows she wants to take action, but that's just not always possible. She has to learn to be patient. Yingluo takes her advice to heart and goes back to focusing her attention on keeping Changchun Palace running. Until one morning, Fu Heng arrives with some big news for his sister. At first, the Empress deflects by saying Yingluo will never consent to being anyone's concubine, and Fu Heng responds that he never intended on making her his concubine. Of course, this didn't come out of nowhere, but I was still so shocked about how suddenly he just decided. I mean, he hasn't even told Yingluo yet. The Empress knows how difficult this will be considering Yingluo's status and family background, but Fu Heng says if he can't marry Yingluo, he doesn't want anyone else. She can see that he means what he says, and if he really wants to fight this battle, he has her support. Cue Erqing. Okay, so Erqing, the Empress's right-hand gal, her top maid. Both she and Mingyu were there before Yingluo arrived, and I haven't talked about her much because she's simply not that important. She's just solid, she does her work, and is usually the reasonable foil to Mingyu's chaotic unreasonableness. She's also very much in love with Fu Heng. We've seen plenty of scenes of her pining, though to be fair, it seems like just about every able-bodied maid in the palace has a crush on Fu Heng, so I wasn't even taking it that seriously. Anyway, she comes in time to hear Fu Heng telling the Empress how head over heels he is, and she is crushed. What's getting to her seems to be the fact that someone so close to her in status could do something that she always thought was impossible. Before she can process that, we get yet another bombshell. After almost 4 years, the Empress is finally pregnant. Is this thanks to Chun's medical work? Because if so, she needs a residency immediately. They are wasting her talents. Wow, what a reaction. So he actually does care about having kids when it's with the Empress. Shan heads to Changchun Palace to congratulate the Empress, and on her way in, she runs into one of the imperial doctors. He apologizes for her brother's death, saying he was on his way to see her brother in prison when he was suddenly called back to the palace. Apparently, the Empress had ordered him to go, but then for some reason changed her mind. Shan enters the palace but stops at the door when she hears the Empress talking to Chun. As if she knew she was there, the Empress starts talking about Shan's brother. She says she sent a doctor to check on him, but later regretted it and called the doctor back before he could get to him. She figured it would be better to give Shen the money more legitimately through the birthday thing. Now, I think this is perfectly reasonable, but Shen seems to be reading it as, I could have discreetly sent a doctor to save her brother, but I decided to do it publicly so people wouldn't gossip about me. And had that not been the case, her brother would probably still be alive, so yeah, I get it. After Xian leaves, the Empress expresses her regret for handling it that way, but it's too late. She's now on Xian's hit list. Doing things a little backwards, after telling his sister, Fu Hong tells Yingluo that he's in love with her, and I mean, yeah, it's obvious, you've been flirting since literally the moment you met, but oh, I love them. Ready for the final hurdle, he goes to see the Emperor. He tells the Emperor that he loves Yingluo and wants to marry her, and the Emperor does not take it well. The Emperor has already written Yingluo off as a scheming minx and insists that she must have seduced him to somehow further her nefarious plans. He tells Fu Hong that he won't approve the marriage as Yingluo will undoubtedly ruin his life. Fu Hong rejects the Emperor's rejection and tells him he has no intention of giving up, though he does leave to give him some time to cool off. The Emperor rushes over to Changchun Palace to see Yingluo and make it clear that he is onto her. He knows she has seduced Fu Hong for some wicked scheme or other and will never let them marry. He makes his own motives a little too obvious when he asks why she didn't seduce him to get to the top. So that's what the problem is. When she very politely rejects him, he storms out telling her to stay away from Fu Hong. The Empress catches wind of what happened between Yingluo and the Emperor. The wind came from Erqing, but later. She asks Yingluo if she wants to join the Emperor's harem, even framing it as helping her by giving her more support. Yingluo gives a definite no. The Emperor means the world to the Empress, and the Empress means the world to her. Whatever her motivations going in, it would undoubtedly turn messy, and the last thing she wants to do is hurt the Empress in any way or ruin their relationship. Initially, the Empress seemed to be fine giving her permission to join the harem, but it's clear that she's happy with this answer. Fu Hong finally gets a chance to meet with Yingluo again. His heart hasn't changed, but after what happened with the Emperor and thoughts of the Empress filling her head, Yingluo has decided that this is not meant to be. She asks him to stay away from her going forward and walks away. The classic, I'm breaking your heart for your own good. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. How stupid was that lotus cake thing? Did Third Prince think he would get away with giving his little brother an arsenic-laced dessert? Anyway, I know that's not the point. The point is the guilt, and even without it, I would more than understand the Emperor not wanting to kill one of his last remaining brothers, especially not for a maid. But now, there's another factor. It seems the Emperor wants her for himself. I am so not a fan of these two together. Dude, you don't have enough neglected wives? Another one. Especially Yingluo, you know how much the Empress loves her. You can't let her have just this one thing. And of course, it's much easier to root against this when you have this to root for. I am so on board with this ship. I don't think Fu Hong completely understands Yingluo yet, but he definitely knows her better than the Emperor does. And I don't think anyone could say he doesn't care about her. The Emperor, on the other hand, I mean, what is this? It really cracked me up that one of the Empress's concerns about their marriage was how dangerous things could get if Fu Hong somehow made Yingluo angry. Can you imagine Fu Hong being late to dinner one day and then Yingluo decides to go on an Aman-style killing rampage? But speaking of Fu Hong, I know Yingluo is the main character, but I would love to see some more personality from him, to be honest. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't really heard anything about his dreams or his past or anything really. Does he even have a single flaw? From that aspect, I can see why people would root for the Emperor. Like Yingluo, he seems like a flawed human, while Fu Hong does certainly give Ken vibes at times. Moving on to Erqing. I actually really felt for her one-sided crush when she found out about him wanting to marry Yingluo. I mean, yeah, I can see why that would hurt. Erqing has been so dependable and solid, but she's the kind of person your eyes kind of gloss over as you look around the room, unlike the bright and shining Yingluo. She's been with the Empress for so long, and if she's been pining away all these years, thinking that she was just a lowly maid and one day he would marry a beautiful, noble girl, only to find out that that was never a factor, he just didn't want her, I mean, that hurts. I know that she did a bit of scheming by telling the Empress about what happened between the Emperor and Yingluo, but it's such low-grade scheming and such reasonable jealousy. It was ultimately Yingluo's choice, and when Yingluo said she didn't want it, that was it. It certainly didn't hurt Yingluo in any way. Yingluo gets very angry at what she did, questioning her loyalty, which drives me absolutely insane because you forgave Mingyu? Your best friends with Ming tried to kill you? Ming actively harming the Empress's position on a daily basis, you? But Erqing makes one mistake in years of service in the heat of jealousy and heartbreak, and suddenly it's, do you even love the Empress? I think the thing is that Yingluo draws the line at anyone doing anything to hurt the Empress, and Mingyu so far has only attacked her. It really would hurt the Empress's heart if Yingluo became a consort, and I think it's fair to say Erqing knows this. So to Yingluo, this is a much bigger crime than Mingyu trying to have her killed. I mean, I don't agree with it, but that seems to be Yingluo's bottom line. People who hurt people she cares about. Although in that case, I'm not sure what Fang and Jinshou did to deserve being taken down. All they ever did was scheme against Yingluo, and apparently that's a-okay. Till next time, thanks for watching.